The Tesla Model S first launched as Tesla's flagship sedan back in 2012. Since then, a lot has changed on this car, but the most drastic changes came at the end of last year with the release of the refreshed Model S, starting with Plaid. Tesla completely redid the interior and released the updated Plaid powertrain, which can reach a stomach-dropping and record-breaking 0 to 60 in around 2 seconds. I purchased a Model S Plaid back in September of 2021, so today I'm going to review this car after 5 months of ownership and around 5,300 miles. Keep in mind that while the top-of-the-line Plaid Model S is what I'll be reviewing, the normal long-range Model S is about 95% the same car, so nearly everything I talk about will apply to any new Model S. There's lots of good and some bad, so let's get into it. For the longest time, I preferred a Model 3 or Y over a Model S. The Model S interior was feeling quite a bit dated to me, and the overall size of the vehicle was wider and long than my preferences. My opinion definitely changed though when Tesla launched the refreshed Model S interior in 2021, which led to me deciding to buy it. The new 17-inch screen, cleaned up interior, and Plaid speed sold me. Even the yoke was part of why I wanted the car, because it's just so different. In any case, for this review, I'll do my best to mention things that are great and things that are annoying throughout. The Model S is a large 4-door sedan with a hatchback. As Tesla sells it, it seats 5 exclusively, even though Elon has mentioned a 7-seater from time to time on this particular model. 2 seats are up front with normal seating adjustments, heating, and ventilation, which is very nice on a hot day. They're spacious seats and pretty comfortable overall, but don't feel extremely premium. In the rear, there are 3 seats, and these are fixed and include heating. Even though they have the perforation like the front seats, they are not actually ventilated. The middle seat in the back arches quite a bit since it's also a fold-down armrest, cup holder, and wireless charger if you only have 1 or 2 people back there. Each seat, aside from the middle, has plenty of space and is very comfortable. If you're seating 5 adults, it's definitely cozy back there though. I drove myself with 4 family members one time, and that was the first time I realized just how cramped it can be back there. For 5 full-sized adults on a road trip, the rear will definitely get a bit tight, but it does get the job done. The front seats are very spacious, but the real storage space comes with the trunk and front trunk. Up front, since there is no engine, the Model S has a manual front trunk with a decent amount of space. In the back, there is a big hatchback trunk with included cargo cover. You can utilize this space as is, as well as the under storage compartment and side cubby, or you can fold down the rear seats for a full pass-through. There is a ton of space available when you do this, but you are a bit height limited due to the sloped roof. I frequently travel with drums in my car, and it has worked great. For wheels, I have the standard 19-inch wheels, and these make the most sense for me because they have the most range, best ride quality, and are cheaper than the 21-inch wheels. However, those 21-inch wheels do look great and are a great option on this car. Up front, the Model S has a center console with a variety of storage options. You can cover the storage, slide the lid in for cup holders, slide the cup holders in for storage underneath, and then there is additional storage under the armrest. All of this storage is pretty useful, but my biggest complaint about the armrest is that it just kind of feels cheap. You end up leaning on it when you're driving, and it makes a good deal of creaky noises. I brought this up at one of my 3 service appointments for this car, and there was no fix. Likely a replacement would have just done the same thing. More on those service appointments in a bit. Connected to the center console is a wireless charger for 2 smartphones, and this has worked great for me. As the driver, this is your view. You have the yoke, 17-inch infotainment screen, and instrument cluster display as well. The instrument cluster handles everything you'd expect, like speed, time, next navigation step, temperature, charge level, light indicators, and speed limit, but also adds Autopilot visualizations. These visualizations show you what's going on around you and give you confidence in the Autopilot system. The 17-inch display handles everything else. By default, you have the navigation system, which works incredibly well and speedy in this new updated Model S. It's the largest and best navigation system I've ever seen in a vehicle. I used to say that about the Model Y, but this is a bigger screen, and it has more real estate because of the instrument cluster, so this is now the best system I've seen in a vehicle. Most other controls in the car are handled here as well, including the main 2, climate controls and music. Climate controls come up over whatever you're doing and allow you to dial in your airflow, temperature, fan speed, heated seats, cooled seats, heated steering yoke, or anything else you may need involving temperature. As you'll notice, there are no discernible air vents in the Model S because you control this, quote, invisible AC system on screen. Some find this annoying, but for me, since the vent locations are saved to my driver profile, I never really adjust them and just just adjust the auto temperature. Sometimes it can be a bit annoying to tap twice just to change heated seats. Once to open climate, then another to actually change the heated seats. This is something you didn't have to do in previous software versions, and Tesla has tried to mitigate this need with an auto heated seats option, but still, it can feel like it's buried further than it should be. One great feature of the climate system is the large HEPA filtration system. You can turn on bioweapon defense mode on screen, and this will enable true HEPA filtration. Tesla recently posted a video demonstrating this on a Model Y, and it's very impressive. I found it useful in California fire season or when driving in a particularly smelly area. Music is also handled on screen with Tesla's own system. There is no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which frustrates some, but overall their system handles well. Sources include Spotify, SiriusXM, Slacker, Tidal, radio, and Bluetooth from your phone. I personally love having Spotify built in on screen and being able to choose on this large interface from my recently played or my Spotify library. Most of the time this works very effectively, and then when I play music from my phone, it is automatically connected if I just choose Bluetooth. It's very quick, but still could use some improvement. Pretty much daily when I first get in the car, Spotify does not load properly. I have found the easiest solution is to open up Slacker Radio, wait for that to load, then open Spotify again to reload it, and usually this will do the trick. Sometimes though, it can take a full 3 to 5 minutes into my drive trying to get Spotify to load over and over before I actually get it to work. I know it's not just my internet connection either, because I'll play just fine from Slacker. I personally never listen to Slacker Radio on purpose because I'm very particular and always specifically choose the music I listen to, but I've kept it in my dock because of this issue that always happens. I noticed this first on my Model Y in 2020, and I'm pretty shocked that it's something Tesla still has yet to fix on any of their cars in 2022. The other issue I find with this system is with the search. Tesla has improved this quite a bit and even improved it recently, but the search is a global search. So if you're trying to find an album, Slacker, Tidal, if you're logged in there, Spotify, and TuneIn results all show up in one place. If I accidentally choose the album from Slacker, it plays the first song, then goes to radio. Same issue here as well. If I search and Spotify hasn't loaded up properly on the back end, no results show from Spotify, and I have to go back and troubleshoot that to get Spotify to load and then search again. Sometimes this leads me to just find the music on my phone and listen over Bluetooth since it can be much faster. Now, those are frustrating issues I deal with, but that doesn't mean the entire system is terrible. I'd still take this and the infotainment as is over many other systems. First, the sound is incredible. It's the best sound system I've ever heard in a vehicle, and the new immersive sound feature can really make things shine. Second, once Spotify is loaded, it's incredibly easy to use and choose your music. Voice commands also work very well here, allowing me to choose a specific song, album, artist, or playlist, with it getting it right the majority of the time. I personally haven't used Tidal yet, but I've heard great things, and it will let you download music for offline and high quality listening instead of streaming. There's a lot more on screen to mention, but those are the main things you'll be changing while driving, and Tesla allows you to move these windows around very nicely. If you want music on the left 2/3 of the screen, you can do that, make it smaller, shift it to the right side, and more. I personally keep music big, then shift it to the right side small interface once I've chosen an album or playlist, and I'm cruising along. The whole Model S screen works similar to an iPad in many ways. You can resize windows and customize the dock to choose which apps are there. Like I mentioned, I keep Spotify and Slacker in there, but if you have your own preferences, you can replace those, which is nice. The last thing you'll really need when driving is your basic settings where you can change mirror positioning, steering wheel positioning, open the glove box, change screen brightness, and more. The rest of the features on screen will mostly be used when parked. The rear camera with 2 side cameras can be brought up at any time, driving or not. Then you have calendar integration, messages from your phone, and theater, which lets you stream from Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, YouTube, Twitch, or even TikTok. This helps pass the time when charging, or it can just be a great place to watch content with your great sound system that this car has. It's important to note that these apps can be a bit slow, but they work overall. And then there's also Arcade, which features a variety of games, Toy Box for a light show, Boombox, emissions mode, tracks to make simple beats, and a few other things. There's also a web browser here, but I tend to see this browser as a last resort. Your phone will always be faster. There are also a number of settings on screen, as well as specifics for acceleration, steering, track mode, suspension, and more. One menu that is missing on the Model S is the energy display Tesla used to include. This gave you an accurate picture of energy usage and range, and it's included in the Model 3 and Y, but not this car. It's unclear why. The good news with missing features, though, is that they are something that Tesla can fix. I wouldn't recommend buying this car with the hope of a future major updates solving a major issue you have with it, but Tesla is constantly making improvements with over-the-air updates. There are some pretty significant features that Tesla has added to my Model S since I bought it. They weren't promised or anything, but they do improve the vehicle quite a bit. First is the blind spot camera that comes up when I initiate the turn signal. The placement of the camera on screen is questionable, but that feature is great to have and was added in December. Another feature, and this is specific to the Model S, is auto cancel for the blinkers. At delivery, when I would turn on my blinker and change lanes, I'd have to click the same touch-sensitive button to turn the blinker off again. This makes sense on a physical stock, but with buttons like the Model S has, it can be frustrating. Now, Tesla uses maps and navigation to automatically recognize when you've completed a lane change, not just a turn. It will turn the blinker off automatically when the lane change is done if you choose to turn this on as an option. For navigation, Tesla's navigation system didn't used to include waypoints, but now it does, allowing you to choose multiple destinations and order them as needed on screen. They added a bunch of these features in the holiday update that came out in December, as well as new games like Sonic and a holiday light show that's fun to do. The steering yoke is what you steer with, and it doesn't have any stocks, so shifting is actually done with Tesla's auto shift out of park feature, where it determines forward or reverse based on the Autopilot cameras. It's very clear on the instrument cluster display which it's choosing, and if you need to override, you can just swipe on screen. You can also opt to always swipe as the option. Within about a week, I got used to both of these features. For blinkers, there are touch-sensitive buttons on the left side of the yoke. Once you get used to the positioning of them, it's extremely easy. The only time I wish it was more tactile or a stock is if I'm quickly changing lanes while listening to music and can't quite hear the blinker clicks. It's a little harder to know if my blinker is truly on since it's just a touch-sensitive button. The scroll wheel on the left side handles music controls, and then there is a button for brights. Other lighting settings can be brought up with that option, and you can actually adjust them with that scroll wheel on the instrument cluster, or you can adjust them on the main infotainment screen, but I just keep auto lights on, and that has been fine. On the right side of the yoke is a button for voice commands, windshield wipers above that, an indicator for autopilot, and then the horn. These buttons are the weird ones to me. The horn makes no sense, and I really wish Tesla would just put a normal horn on the yoke. There are rumors about a normal horn coming soon, and I think that makes a lot of sense. The only times I need a horn are when I need it immediately to prevent an accident, so remembering to hit a small touch-sensitive button in that moment just doesn't make sense. For the wipers, you press the button, and then a little option comes up on the instrument cluster display that you can adjust with the corresponding scroll wheel. This is actually pretty easy. Then the right scroll wheel handles autopilot settings. The yoke is a bold choice from Tesla, but I think they just went for it because once you truly get used to it, you don't miss a traditional steering wheel. That has been my experience at least. I don't even think twice about the fact that this car has a yoke and touch buttons for blinkers. I just drive it. It gives me a clear view of the road and my display, and it feels great when taking advantage of the speed of this car. It's easy to look at and criticize. It's also easy to drive once and criticize, but once you truly use it, it's great. I switch between the yoke and a normal steering wheel on the Model Y quite often, and it's very easy to do. To finish out the interior of the Model S, there's a glove box, storage in each of the doors, window buttons, and a rear screen for rear passengers. This screen allows rear passengers to change climate, watch Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and more while the car is driving, and change music controls if needed. Tesla has said and still says that the Model S includes gaming from any seat, with rear passengers able to play games back here on this screen, but that feature actually isn't included. Considering it has been 7 months since release and no word of this feature actually coming, I wouldn't count on having this feature anytime soon. As I say with every Tesla though, the best part about it is driving it. The Model S is incredibly fun to drive and incredibly quick. It being all electric means that you have instant torque and one-pedal driving. This makes driving an incredibly smooth and seamless experience. For normal driving, the Model S does great and rides smooth as far as the suspension is concerned. It includes an adaptive air suspension, which you can dial in to exactly your preferences. You can also raise the suspension when needed, and it can remember that location for next time. I have tons of steep entryways saved in my car now all over Los Angeles for lots of places that I go frequently. The speed of this car is on another level though. The standard Model S gets a 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds, and the Plaid takes it to another level with Tesla's claimed 0 to 60 in 1.99 seconds. In the real world, you get a slightly slower 0 to 60, but it's very slight. Tesla includes Plaid launch mode, which optimizes the car for a launch. It optimizes the battery, the cooling, and then dips the front end into a cheetah stance for the ultimate launch. It's a roller coaster on demand in your car when whenever you want it. The 0 to 60 is absolutely insane, but that horsepower is also available at any speed, which takes it to another level compared to many electric cars. If you're already going 30 miles per hour, the acceleration feels just as stomach-dropping as if you were starting from 0 miles per hour. That power curve is a big part of what Tesla emphasized with the Plaid Model S specifically, and it delivers. Is it necessary? No. But for those that want fast cars, it's something to behold. It's also something that's very fun to show people. It's impossible not to react when you experience a launch. Here are some fun examples.
Oh God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
For normal driving though, and especially longer drives, the Model S is also fantastic. As I mentioned, it drives smooth and rides smooth, but it's also incredibly quiet inside. There's hardly any road or wind noise, and Tesla did a great job here. It's a significant improvement over all of their previous vehicles and all of their current ones. When you don't want to drive yourself is when Autopilot comes into play. Standard included Autopilot does traffic-aware cruise control and lane keeping for you. It utilizes the 8 cameras around the vehicle, along with ultrasonic sensors and a radar sensor. It does a great job and can take a lot of stress off of your drive. For me, especially in traffic, it will still brake a little hard from time to time, but it feels a lot better at staying in my lane smoothly than my Model Y does, even though it's the same system. I've heard quite a bit about phantom braking in newly shipped Teslas that don't include radar, but this car still included radar, and I believe Tesla still ships it with it. I haven't experienced any phantom braking issues myself yet on this car, which is great. If you want to upgrade, you can buy Tesla's full self-driving package that includes more features. To me, the only useful feature is auto lane change, but beyond that, I don't recommend it because the package is now $12,000. I subscribed to FSD at first at $199 per month, which Tesla offers instead of that $12,000, but ultimately canceled because I have found it not to be worth it. If you want to learn more about FSD though, you can check out my other reviews where I talk about it more in depth. Tesla's Autopilot system will drive for you and has a good track record for safety, but of course you're still responsible to ensure the system handles well. It does not enable you to take your eyes off the road or your hands off the wheel. Included with the Autopilot system as well are active safety features like automatic emergency braking when driving. Then if you do get into an accident, the Model S is one of the safest vehicles you can buy. Quote, Model S is built from the ground up as an electric vehicle with a high-strength architecture and floor-mounted battery pack for incredible occupant protection and low rollover risk. The original Model S achieved the best safety rating of any car tested by NHTSA back in 2013, and while this new updated model has yet to be officially rated, it is expected to do the same or better. It's great to know when I'm driving this car that there are so many systems in place to keep me safe. The last feature to mention before I really dive into the complaints I have about this car is the app. Included with the Model S is 2 key cards and 2 key fobs, but the other key option is your phone. When you use a key fob or a phone key, the door handles auto-present when you walk up. When you walk away, they will disappear and the vehicle will lock. Within the app, Tesla includes a lot and continues to add features. Like I said, it's a lot and very useful, so I'll summarize it very quickly. You can lock or unlock the car, turn on climate controls, change charging limits, open the trunk or frunk, honk the horn, flash the lights, vent the windows, turn on specific heated seats or the heated yoke, check your vehicle's location and nearby charging options, summon the car if you have FSD, schedule charging or departure, tune into 4 of your cameras, streaming live from your car through the Sentry Mode system to your phone, turn on valet mode, turn on speed limit mode, check charging stats to see how much gas money you have saved, buy software upgrades or accessories, check your safety score if you have FSD, book a service appointment, schedule roadside assistance, check your odometer, and handle your account settings. It's extremely useful, and I love being able to precondition my car through the app before I get in. I also love that I can precondition anywhere because there are no emissions from this car. It's one of the many benefits of it being electric, and it allows you to never worry about the fumes your car is producing because there are none. You also don't need oil changes or regular maintenance since it's a much simpler setup. Now, since you won't have gas, many get concerned. However, for this Model S in particular, there isn't much to worry about if you have a home charging solution. The standard Model S gets a range of 405 miles, and the Plaid gets a slightly lower range of 396 miles. These are estimates with the battery charged to 100%, which isn't recommended all the time, and they're from the EPA, so you're bound to see a real-world range that's a bit lower, but even at an extra conservative 350-mile range, that is plenty for most uses. For daily driving, you charge at home, and it couldn't be easier. The car charges overnight, and you wake up to a car charged to whatever limit you set. I charge to either either 80% or 90% myself daily as recommended by Tesla. For me, this has saved me tons of time by never needing to go get gas. The only time I may add time to my trip is on a road trip, but Tesla does this better than anyone. Superchargers are all over the world and cover most people on most routes. If you live in a less populated area and frequently road trip, it'd definitely be good to look into your charging locations ahead of time, but for me, if I need to go anywhere, I can count on superchargers along the way. They charge very fast and typically only have me waiting about 25 minutes. Many hear 25 minutes or longer and think that they will be waiting 25 minutes every day instead of a 5-minute gas fill-up. But again, charging at home is the piece that many people seem to forget about with electric cars. It takes up absolutely none of your time. Then, for me, on road trips, my charging stops are around the same time it takes me to use the restroom, grab food, eat, and get back on the road. Additionally, Tesla is only expected to expand their supercharger network further and increase their charging speeds in the future. There's a lot to love about the Model S. The ride quality is incredibly smooth, and the performance is beyond anything you could ever need. The cabin is very quiet, and I love the simple yet effective interior as a driver, including the yoke. It's a very spacious car, so you and your passengers are very comfortable, and the sound system is incredible. Then the fact that it's all electric brings a lot of advantages. It saves me time, makes it easier and more fun to drive, makes driving easier with one-pedal driving, and saves me money on gas. Autopilot is also incredibly useful and adds to your overall feeling of comfort on long drives. I've only done one road trip in this car to San Francisco and back, but I can't wait to do it again. To me, this is the best car I've ever driven, but now let's talk about my complaints with the car. For my Model S Plaid, the price was $130,000 plus some extra for the blue paint. The performance specs of this car are quicker than any other production car, and the next quickest comes in at a few $1,000,000. I always keep this in mind because I'm getting something that normally isn't even close to this price. Still though, for the cost, there are certain things we expect that Tesla does not deliver on. My first issues came right away. At delivery, my Plaid came with a number of issues. First, there was a dent in the front bumper. We noted this at delivery, and Tesla replaced the bumper at a service appointment a few weeks later. I also had sticky adhesive coming off of the window trim, a recessed door handle, rip in the passenger side carpet, a clicking sound in the seat every time I took a left turn, and then that creaky armrest that I mentioned. One trim issue was able to be fixed at delivery, but the rest required service appointments. Due to parts being unavailable, Tesla not telling me parts were delayed until I came to my appointment, and appointments being extremely backed up in general, it took 3 separate appointments, 1 in October and 2 in January, to finally get these issues fixed on my car that I had bought in September. For a $130,000 car, that is just not acceptable whatsoever. I put up with it because of everything I love in this car, but for many buyers in this price range, it will put them off of Tesla immediately. I really think they need to focus in on that. My other complaints have to do with the design of the car though. All around the car, stuff is just kind of creaky on turns or turning into driveways. You can hear plastic creaking or adjusting, and it just makes the car feel cheaper than it should. As far as software is concerned, we already talked about my frustrations with the music app, but there are other things that make me wonder if software engineers are actually driving these cars. For one, the new blind spot camera comes up in the middle bottom of the screen. I'm happy they added this feature, but if I'm taking a left and want to check the camera, I have to look all the way to the screen on my right to check the blind spot on my left. Many other vehicles just put that on the instrument cluster. Another thing similar to this is when I back into my garage. I have a small garage with 2 vehicles, and I use the automatic garage door opener included in the Model S. When I go into reverse, my cameras come up, but the home link button completely blocks my side view cameras. I have to swipe home link away every time I arrive home in order to park. If I'm on a phone call as well, I have to swipe away home link and then swipe away the call to see my side cameras. Sometimes swiping away home link actually causes me to press the button, and I have to stop myself from continuing to back up so I don't back into the garage. The fact that Tesla still says the car comes with The Witcher or other AAA games and rear screen gaming frustrates me. I get that it's not a big feature and not a reason why people want to buy this car necessarily, but that feature still not being here a year and a month after Tesla announced it is frustrating. Active noise canceling is something I was excited for in this car as well, and it finally arrived, but I hear no discernible difference between it being on or off. Hopefully this is something Tesla improves over time. The rear trunk area has buttons to fold the seats down, but what's really weird is that these buttons don't actually fold the seats. They unlatch them, and then you have to manually push them forward because of the angle they're at. I always opt to just use the buttons on the back of the seats since I have to reach over and push them down anyway, and it makes these buttons feel pretty useless in the trunk. Lastly, following distance isn't included with the Autopilot system on the scroll wheel. On the Model 3 and Y, if you click left or right on the scroll wheel while in Autopilot, this will adjust your following distance. In the Model S, this control does nothing. holding. So if I want to change that, I have to click Settings, Autopilot, and adjust following distance there. I often change this setting depending on traffic conditions, so I really wish that Tesla would fix this. Then there are a few things I'd like to see Tesla add to this car, especially at the price. First is an automatic front trunk. The new Lucid Air has this, along with Rivian's cars and many upcoming electric cars. It would be a great feature that would make me use the front trunk much more often. Next is a bird's eye parking view. Many cars have this, and Tesla has said that they will do it, but they haven't yet. Lastly is Apple Music. Many customers have Apple Music, and having that integrated on screen like Spotify would be very useful. For some people, when they hear my list of complaints, they think that this car is garbage or can't believe why I would ever want it. To those people, I say, drive one. Once you feel what it's like to drive a Model S, a lot of things become clear. Some interior or software things aren't up to the price of this car, I think, but as an overall vehicle, it's the best car I've ever driven. I will say that it's a bit wide for my personal taste, but that's also a part of its draw for others. I think the standard, long-range Model S, which includes everything I talked about, besides the increased speed, is a great option for people shopping in this price range. It gets great range, is a great daily driver, and the perfect road trip car. While this car looks largely the same as it has for years, the changes Tesla made brought it up to speed and make it a great buy in 2022. I have a few other videos specifically talking about this car, and those are linked in the description below. Additionally, I'll continue to make videos with this car, so make sure you subscribe to this channel for the latest. In the meantime, if the Model S is expensive for you, but you like the idea of a Tesla, you can check out my Model Y review linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.